This is NBC Palm Springs. Breaking news.
Good evening. I'm Olivia Sandusky. Thank you for joining us. Gino Lamont and Sarah Sanchez have the night off. We begin with the El Dorado fire, ignited over the weekend by a smoke-generating device that was used at a gender reveal party. It's our top story tonight. The El Dorado fire has burned more than 8,600 acres. It's now 7% contained. It broke out Saturday morning and with just a few hours exploded to more than 1,000 and only grew from there. So far, winds have not been a problem for firefighters, although winds have shifted overnight, which is why the valley is draped in a thick smoke and we do have some light layers of ash out on our car. The air quality here in the valley has just been horrible all day. I'm sure you've seen it. The video from our Agua Caliente casino camera in Rancho Mirage. We recorded this earlier today and it's pretty much stayed the same like this throughout the afternoon. That smoke just sort of hanging out here in the valley. And here's the view from the valley floor now to the top of the tram and just more haze. You can barely see through it. The South Coast Air Quality Management District keeps track of these things. They say the air quality across most of the state of California is moderate to unhealthy because of all of the fires burning across the state. Take a live look now in Yucaipa. These are some burn scars left behind from the El Dorado fire. Now, it's only been burning for 3 days, but already so much devastation left behind. There is some good news, though. After the 3 days of record-setting temperatures and humidity in the single digits, we have higher humidity and lower temps on the way. Plus, we're under a flex alert as well. We'll have more on all of that in a moment, but first we'll get to our Kitty Alvarado, who's out in Oak Glen in a neighborhood under mandatory evacuation orders.
As the El Dorado fire inches closer, law enforcement is evacuating the Scenic Crest neighborhood in Yucaipa.
The little kitty. Yeah, we're just following through orders.
And how scary is this? And you feels like you just went through this.
Yeah, we went through this a couple weeks ago with the apple fire, but you know, living in this area, we're pretty accustomed to the wildfires around here, so we know, and we're kind of already expecting this to happen sometime soon.
People who live here just went through this with the apple fire. It started July 31st and burned over 33,000 acres and is still not out.
That apple fire started just right down the road there. That was a pretty intense fire and it went on for days and days, and now starting it again, it's a pretty stressful event. It just seems like it's just been going nonstop.
Firefighters are creating fire breaks with heavy equipment and backfire operations to guide the fire towards the apple fire burn scar area where there's nothing left to burn. But a Santa Ana wind event can wreak havoc on their plan.
We have that moderate Santa Anas that are coming in very late tonight or obviously tomorrow morning with winds up to 50-mile-an-hour winds. This is all a Canyon Pass area. That's going to be critical that we get the upper hand on this side here. Make sure that we do that before the winds come, because if the winds come through here, depending on where the winds take it, it could go north, east, or south. Easterly, we're obviously concerned because it could blow into Riverside County, into Cherry Valley, Beaumont area, a lot of the communities up here.
And that's what people who are choosing to stay behind are keeping an eye on.
We got a big break here between Oakland Road and Wildwood Canyon Road, so we should be all right. We're just worried about embers flying.
And the problem is the wind shifts a lot here. It starts one way and then just turns around and goes the other way. It dances around these mountains a lot, and that's what causes these fire funnels. They're almost like fire tornadoes.
People who live here are counting on firefighters and holding on to hope.
It says this too shall pass. There's the times where things are going really bad. It's not going to last forever. When you're in a really great time, enjoy it. It's not going to last forever either. So we will get through this. We will make it through.
That was our Kitty Alvarado reporting. CAL FIRE tells us they're not sure if the people who started this fire will be held responsible for some of the costs or even face charges. That's up to law enforcement. The El Dorado fire isn't the only one burning here in California. In fact, there are so many fires. The time lapse of satellite images shows the entire state of California covered in smoke. Fires in Southern California, Central and Northern. We'll now send it on over to our chief meteorologist, Mike Everett, with a look at all of that pretty dramatic images out there, Mike.
Olivia, this is where the Goes West satellite comes in really handy. This is a loop that we've backed off about 36 hours here. Just to answer the first basic question here, where on earth is all of this smoke coming from? Well, literally, we've got a northwesterly wind that's blowing right across the state right now in advance of a cold front that's moving in. Yeah, cold front. Wait till you see what happens to temperatures this week. That's the good news there. We will be seeing something very, very nice at the tail end of this, but we've got some work to do first. So we've got those strong fires that are up towards Northern California, Central California, and now, of course, here in Southern California as well. And it's literally training it right over top of us. We've discussed this before, that the Coachella Valley is basically oriented northwest to southeast. So whenever anything comes in from the northwest, it comes in unabated through the passes there. And that's what's filling our valley up with smoke today. Some good news, we will see that shift in wind. Unfortunately, as Captain Herrera was alluding to, though, that will switch around towards the northeast and become a Santa Ana wind event. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. A lot of questions about air quality right now. Well, they're giving us moderate air quality. Now, of course, the lightest is when you've got the lighter colors, the purples and stuff like that, or some greens would be nice too. But right along the coast, Palm Springs, all the way out towards Corona, and even out towards Indio and 29 Palms as well, we're either at a moderate or an unhealthy rating. So if you're a sensitive breather, or somebody you love is, or if you're thinking about heading out for some hiking or some jogging tonight, probably not the best idea. As Olivia was telling you, there's also some ash embedded in that smoke as well. It's extremely unhealthy. Here's what we're taking a look on radar. A whole lot of nothing here, but as I'm pushing the magic button, there's a couple things I want to make you aware of. Red flag warning still in place, literally for everyone around us, including our mountains. It looks like that'll stay in place until 8 p.m. on Wednesday, because as those winds switch around towards the north and east, things are really going to dry out, and they could be gusting up to about 30, 40, and even 50 miles an hour. Another thing I want to make you aware of is that we also have that excessive heat warning that's in place tonight. Now, one of the silver linings for what we experienced today is that we had that filter between us and the sun that kept us from getting into that 120 range like we did on Saturday, Sunday, and even on Friday. So that should be allowed to expire tonight. We'll see those temperatures really take a dip over the next 48 to 72 hours. Also, a fire weather watch in place. That's well off towards our north and east here, out towards 29 Palms and areas off in that direction. That's where the gustiest winds will be and the lowest humidity as well. Bottom line, anything involving fire, barbecue, bonfire, fireworks, just give it a miss for the rest of this Labor Day weekend. In fact, if you could do that for the rest of the week, that'd be great. So here's another silver lining. We didn't get it to 120 degrees today. 109 is where we are currently at Palm Springs International. Light flow coming in from the south right now. That's a little weird. We'll talk about what that means coming up. Humidity sitting at 20%, and then the other obvious problem, no rain for about 150 days. Take a look at future winds tonight. We'll put that into motion. That's 6 p.m. We take it up to 7, and then finally this is 9 o'clock tonight. We'll finally start to see more of a westerly flow that I'm hoping will switch around to the north and west a little bit later this evening. Now, won't give us much assistance in the way of ventilation, because again, that's where all the smoke is coming from, but at least we'll get a little bit of flow going as we go overnight tonight. And then look what happens on Tuesday. Those winds all start to pop up into double digits there, and that's when that fire weather watch and those red flag warnings will be at their strongest, because we're really going to see humidity drop. 33 miles an hour sustained up at Big Bear on Tuesday afternoon, and that's just the beginning of this wind event. We'll break that down even more so. In the big picture, something weird and wonderful is happening. We've got a powerful, powerful low that is pushing down right through the center portion of North America. What that means is places like Denver, where temperatures are in the 90s today, are going to be switching around and seeing some snow over the next 24 hours. We'll be the beneficiary of that. In fact, as that frontal boundary moves closer to us, it's going to take those temperatures down wonderfully this week and give us a bit of a reprieve. But unfortunately, that northeasterly wind flow will dry us out. Will help to clear some of the smoke out, though. Here's what it looks like graphically. We'll talk more about that coming up in the full forecast. Next 3 days, 104 on Tuesday, Wednesday, below triple digits for the first time in a good long time, and then we'll moderate again on Thursday. I'll show you the whole picture, and we'll take a closer look at those winds coming up.
Thank you very much, Mike. Now on to a few pictures of the El Dorado fire. We wanted to show you this from a backyard of a viewer in Beaumont, taken Saturday afternoon. Later Saturday night, the same view, only much more dramatic. You can see that wall of flames in the hills behind this home. Also on Saturday, the view from Washington and Fred Waring in La Quinta. The fire looking almost like an explosion off in the distance. Then at Ground Zero in Cali Mesa, pictures from one of our own videographers capturing the dramatic drop of fire retardant retardant on a home as the fire burns on the hillside. There's an air tanker there dropping more retardant in a flyover. And take a look at this time-lapse video from our Agua Caliente casino cam in Rancho Mirage. It really captures the force of the fire in its initial stage, smoke shooting straight up into the air. And then later on that night, you could see how fast the fire was spreading in this time-lapse video from Cali Mesa. Again, the fire growing, feeding itself as it burned through the brush. Right now, 8 Southern California national forests are closed temporarily. Here's a list. Forestry officials say it's just too hot, too dry, and too dangerous to allow people in. The closures went into effect at 5 p.m. They'll be reevaluated daily as conditions change. The Creek Fire in Northern California has burned more than 78,000 acres. It started south of Yosemite National Park and, as Kung La shows us, trapped more than 200 people at a recreation site. Looks like we might have had some issues with that story.
Rare and deadly heat at more than 120 degrees. Bone-dry winds exacerbating flames and almost 2.1 million acres burned. California's wildfires this year have become the worst in state history, and it is only September. A rapidly spreading fire tore through the Sierra National Forest, trapping hundreds of people at a recreation area.
And situations that only can be described as just hellish conditions out there for those poor people.
At least 224 were rescued from the Mammoth Pool Reservoir area after the Creek Fire blocked the only road out.
Because of deteriorating weather conditions, they ended up using great and sound judgment by allowing as many people as they could possibly fit on the helicopter.
About 20 evacuees had injuries from broken bones to burns. 2 were carried out on stretchers. Hiking nearby, Juliana Park said the fire moved in so fast, a forest ranger instructed them to drive through it.
And it was actually per her instruction that we drove through that fire. She said it was the only way down and it hadn't yet crossed the road and that we just had to drive through it. I think if we had stayed just 10 minutes more, we might not have been so lucky.
As rescuers try to work safely through the merciless challenges, California's rescuers remain positive and continue to push ahead.
Whenever you have conditions that are in the 3 digits and they're across so many different areas within our jurisdiction, you're always going to be on edge a little bit. But this is something that we prepare for. This is something that we train for. This is something that we're ready for, and we'll handle that.
That was Kyung La reporting. This is an image of the Bobcat fire burning in the Angeles National Forest north of LA. It broke out yesterday and has burned nearly 5,000 acres. It's 0% contained. No word yet on how that fire started. In San Diego, the Valley Fire has burned more than 5,300 acres. It's 1% contained. It started Saturday and destroyed 10 structures. An evacuation order is in place. And we're still under a flex alert. Imperial Irrigation District and Southern California Edison are encouraging everyone to conserve power. IID has implemented temporary power outages randomly selected by a computer. Those should last 15 minutes. Coming up next, Decision 2020 working to gain supporters on this Labor Day. And a new study of recovered COVID-19 patients shows their long-lasting symptoms are improving. You're watching NBC Palm Springs. Kamala Harris hits the campaign trail this Labor Day in the critical battleground state of Wisconsin. The Democratic vice presidential nominee plans to meet with the family of Jacob Blake and his legal team, and later with electrical workers. Also on her schedule, a roundtable meeting with Black business owners. Vice President Mike Pence also in Wisconsin, spending part of his Labor Day in La Crosse, touring a company that provides energy services. Labor Day unofficially kicks off the full-speed campaign to Election Day. The Vice President didn't comment on the Republican platform issues, including trade, policing, and the coronavirus response. President Trump held a briefing at the White House, commenting on the Atlantic magazine story from last week that claims he repeatedly made insulting comments about the military. The president calls the story a hoax, a term he's used in the past to reference issues and topics like the Mueller report. Democratic challenger Joe Biden lashed out at President Trump over his alleged comments about veterans and fallen military service members, calling it, quote, un-American. Election Day is in 57 days. We have a live look now from our Walter Clark Highway 111 cam. Not much to see out there, a lot of smoke in the air. Mike has our full forecast coming up next.
Welcome back. Well, so much for easing our way into this new work week. Man, it's ominous out there. What's really kind of a piece of sand in my craw today is that it looks so much like rain. When I first stepped outside today, I thought, oh, those cumulus clouds? Nope, that is all smoke. In fact, the lack of rain is a big part of our weather story as we go into this Labor Day. Hopefully you got a chance to relax a little bit this weekend. Not a whole lot of outdoor activity taking place because, well, it was really shattering records hot Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Today we took those numbers down a little bit. We're going to take them down a lot more as we go through this week, but some work to do first. So let's talk about this big blob right here. This is a very powerful system punching down right through the midsection of North America. And what that's going to do is really regulate temperatures. But unfortunately, in the short term, it's really going to pick up those winds. Take a look at your AccuWeather forecast Monday through Wednesday here. Yes, it's going to be a wonderful whoop, where'd that go? It's going to be a wonderful cool down as we go into the second half of the week here, but those winds will start to gust up from the northeast, and that's a Santa Ana wind event, dries us out even more, and that is not what we need. Taking a look at surface weather analysis for Tuesday, we'll take those temperatures down into a much more pleasant range, but as that frontal boundary gets close, that northeasterly flow will get up to about 30, 40, and even 50 miles an hour in isolated spots. What that means for us is that we will get our usual blockage, especially from the San Bernardinos and the Little San Bernardinos, but I'm not ruling out the potential for winds to gust up to about 30 and even 40 miles an hour here in the Coachella Valley. The passes, not so much here because of the direction of the wind, but the big story is that humidity dropping down to about 5%, especially up in our mountains. So we've got those red flag warnings that will be in place through at least Wednesday for literally everything around the Coachella Valley and down towards Borrego, obviously where you've got just nothing but sand and rocks. You don't have high fire danger, but immediately off towards our west and up towards Joshua Tree into the Mojave Desert as well and down into Imperial County, we're talking about extremely sensitive fire conditions. I've said it before, I'll say it again, please, if it involves fire, just give it a miss for the next few days. Taking a look at rain, the last time it rained, well, it's been a while. Palm Springs International, where we keep all of the records, the last time that we got any rain at all was on June 5th. That was a trace amount. We did pretty well during the first half of April here. We actually had a stretch from the 6th to the 11th where we got just a little over an inch, but that makes it over 149 days since we've seen any measurable rain here in the Coachella Valley. Now, on to the good news. The excessive heat warning that's in place will be allowed to expire tonight at 8 p.m. for us and everyone around us. We'll see those temperatures go down dramatically. In fact, today we were a bit on the hindered side due to the fact that we had a massive filter between us and the sun. 109 is where we got to, still well above the average of 103, nowhere near record territory today. Happy to be able to say that for a change. 86 in the overnights was a full 10 degrees warm as well. In fact, it's 11 degrees above average. Olivia was telling you about those rolling blackouts, especially the IAD folks. Hopefully, because of the lower temperatures, they've been able to dial that back a little bit. But it's always a good idea to have a plan in place and limit your daytime electricity usage. If you're going to do any laundry or dishes, just wait until after 9 o'clock tonight. It'll be much easier for all of us. 101 currently in the Yucca Valley, 104 in Coachella, still 109 at the airport, some low 80s in Big Bear and some upper 80s in Idlewild, where they shattered records this weekend. 104, the highest temperature ever recorded there. Tonight, we're going to be very slow in our cooling. In fact, we'll start in the upper 80s on Tuesday. We warmed to about 104 in the afternoon in Palm Springs, 105 down towards the south, and 90s in Joshua Tree. Okay, here's our reward on Wednesday. On the back end of that front, we are going to be in double digits. Overnights will be in the low 70s. It doesn't stick around long, though. We're going to get ourselves back into that 106 to 110 range starting again on Friday.
Ahead for us tonight, state of emergency. Wildfires burning out of control in California, the dramatic airlift rescue. And experts call it a critical tool to stop COVID. But is contact tracing really working in the U.S.? All ahead on Nightly News.
coronavirus coverage brought to you by East Valley COVID-19 testing site, serving residents of eastern Coachella Valley.
Let's take a look at the latest COVID-19 numbers for Riverside County and the entire Coachella Valley. The county hasn't updated the numbers this holiday weekend, so these are from Friday. Nearly 54,000 cases in Riverside County, 13,000 of those from the Coachella Valley. Over 1,000 deaths countywide, just over 300 of those from our valley. The long Labor Day weekend was supposed to give some businesses a chance to make up a lost financial ground, but especially those restaurants in Palm Springs where the city allowed a 2-block stretch of Palm Canyon Drive to be closed so that restaurants could expand their outdoor dining. A big deal for restaurants which have been under strict restrictions. For the most part, we are told it was a success. We'll be right back after this break. Stay with us. We're continuing to follow the El Dorado fire, and we'll take a live look from our Walter Clark Highway 111 camera. Normally you can see the mountains, that beautiful ridge out there, but smoke is shrouding them. We'll have more details on that fire as it continues to burn, passing 8,000 acres. Nightly News is next, and we'll see you at 6 o'clock.